talking about the Titans here. The Titans.
Swing and a drive, left field. It's gone. It is gone. It is bedlam at the bank.
The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Podcast right here. You already know. Go fucking subscribe. Go follow.
You are now listening to the 302 Birds Phillies postgame show with Eric, Brendan, Dalt, and Ballpark Tommy. Proudly powered by TickPick. Check out the link in the bio for $10 off your first order today. Let's take it to the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was an ugly, ugly game. And it doesn't help when it's an ugly game with the New York Mets. And then it doesn't help when it's an ugly game with the New York Mets in the playoffs. What's up, guys? Dalton from the Phillies postgame show. And God, that was ugly. I got Fratty and Brendan backstage, which I'll get to in a second. But I just want to say real quick, you can blame Nola. You can blame the fans. But at the end of the day, the only people that I want to see blamed, at least in my personal opinion, you can say this is right or wrong in the comments, is the big boys. The boys who bat, the guys who were playing. I'm talking about Harper. I'm talking about Turner. I'm talking about Schwarber. And, of course, I'm talking about the daycare. The daycare really hasn't done anything this whole playoff series. It's been disgusting. It's been awful. And like I said, it doesn't hurt that it's to the New York Mets. Fratty, I mean, I see the look on your face. We'll go ahead with you first. How'd you feel tonight, man, after that god-awful loss?
I felt like I I couldn't get excited at all. I mean, once Pete Alonso hit that home run, my nerves were kind of shocking him. But once the Mets led 2-0, that's when I knew something was up. And I'll tell you one thing: that game was, I must say, as a whole. That game, this had to be among the top 3 worst Phillies playoff games I've ever watched.
Wow.
And,
how about you, Brendan?
That was the biggest piss poor performance that I think I have seen, just like Friday said, in my entire life. Watching 6 and 7 of last year, watching the 22 World Series, this was just fucking hurtful because of what they did on Sunday. And to come out tonight with zero energy, zero fucking patience, swinging at everything, throwing fucking meatballs, not being able to play defense, just piss poor all around. Nobody gave a fuck altogether. And I got no fucking words for it right now, man.
Yeah, no words. Pitching overall, I mean, there were some mistakes here and there. Fratty, we'll let you take it first. Nola's shaky night. I think shaky's the right word, right? How would you describe it?
I'll say one thing. Aaron Nola, he did have a lot of strikeouts tonight. However, he just imploded, allowing a couple long balls to Pete Alonso, Jesse Winker.
Fuck Jesse Winker.
Think about it. I hate to say this, but Nola. I noticed Nola was trying to pitch around these guys tonight. He used his knuckle curve. He struck out about it, which that was probably one of the positives from Nola. One of his best strikeouts tonight was on the knuckle curve pitch. Other than that, once the 5th or 6th inning came, Nola started looking shaky. Then it set up Kerkering having to come in, and then the rest was kind of history after that. And Aaron Nola, for the most part, besides allowing those couple long balls and that jam that caused Kerkering that allowed two more runs. Besides that, besides those 2 home runs, Nola didn't look too bad. But he, listen, when it's not his fault. When your offense can't score much of anything and then wait till the 8th, that we have a problem, and it's not his fault. I don't blame this on Aaron Nola. Nola's still a good pitcher, and you can't put the blame on Nola. You can only put it on the offense.
All
Really,
right. Well,
we'll get into.
I think I disagree with Friday sometimes. I think that's where I'm at right now as well. One number I'm just going to throw out is $172 million. That's how much money you spent on this guy in the offseason for him to come out and not even get you 6 fucking innings. You have him for another 7 years, and he just went out there and, in my opinion, shit the bed. You went out there on Sunday, played your fucking ass off, had one of the greatest games in probably Philadelphia sports playoffs history. And today you go out there and just have zero emotion, zero control, zero fucking will to just even be there and allow the Mets organization, the Mets franchise, the Mets shitty ass fucking fans to allow you to bring that team back into the series.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. They really let inferior team, an inferior franchise, an inferior fan base not only get in their head, but actually impact their execution, especially offensively. I was watching Bryce Harper's face a lot of this game, and he just looks distraught, like absolutely lost. I've never seen Bryce Harper that quiet. And even in the 6th inning, I look over and I still see Trey Turner and a couple of the guys. I think it's Trey and Casty still talking, smiling. 5th inning, okay, vibes are still all right. Whatever, it's a game. Bryce just looks like ready to kill somebody the whole game. Like, he looks pissed. He looks absolutely in the zone. And it just feels like this team, you see the sparks of them offensively, but they can't put it all together at the right time, especially when it comes to scoring. And then when they finally do, it's the 8th or 9th inning, like today, like the other game. And it's like, well, it's too late now. Like, the Mets already got ahead or the game's over. They got lucky last game. And like Brendan said, one of the most awesome moments in Philadelphia sports history for Phillies as far as playoff games. I mean, I'll never forget that moment, but you got to be able to show up the game after that. You're the better team against the Mets, and now you got to go back to Philadelphia for game 4 in Fratty's house.
Nope. Staying up there.
Yeah, game 4 in New York. In technically the fake Mets fan, Frank the Tank's house.
Oh,
and
Lord.
Now we have to go to compete with him. Then hopefully we can force a game 5. But even then, I don't know about you guys, and I don't know if this is a hot take. You guys let me know what you think. I am not as confident, and this is probably not a hot take actually now. I'm not nearly as confident in them now as I was before. And even if we get out of this series, I feel like we could fall flat on our face.
I think Fratty was like premonitioning, just watching what was going to happen with the way he was talking on Sunday night after the game. Because if you go into that series with the Dodgers or the Padres, you're fucked if you go out there with this attitude and this tone. And I apologize for cursing as much as I do, because I feel like, with the wins, you can get better with all of that. But you just have no care in the world out there, especially with Harper. You watch 2 guys get walked, 8 straight pitches, and then you strike out on the next 3. What the fuck are we talking about? Stott watching or doesn't watch a single pitch. Cassie has never watched a single pitch. Schwarber swinging at the dirt. We have Alvarez lining up in the opposite batter's box, and you still have $300 million players swinging at that. That is the most asinine take I think anybody could have at this point.
Yeah. So I want to ask you one more thing too. So when you see guys like Trey Turner and Casty still smiling, like I said, Bryce Harper from the start of this game, you see him still like himself, but you can also see that edge, if you guys know what I mean. Like he has business to handle. Does it upset you guys when you guys see like other guys like that? Do you wish like the rest of the locker room would kind of embody that, or is it more like to each their own, like whatever works?
To me, it's the end of the fucking world. Like if you're we're talking about the playoffs. We're talking about a team who has been the best team in baseball since, let's just say, May. A team that has the 3rd, 4th highest payroll in baseball, and you're getting your ass beat by the Mets, who at the beginning of this year was supposed to be non-existent, and you're sitting there laughing. And I know that is not that they don't care, but let's just be honest, perception's reality. And looking at that, to me, shows that nobody wanted to be there tonight.
How about yourself, Fratty? What do you think? Do you think it's to each their own with their attitude, or you wish the guys would show a little bit more edge, a little bit more competitive spirit?
I just wish I'm what I'm getting sick and tired of. I'm getting sick and tired of these guys who get these guys like Bryce Harper and these guys who are getting paid so much money, and it's supposed to be like an all-star lineup and all. And I'm just sick of a lineup that's capable of making it to winning a championship. And we've had good lineups the past couple years. I'm really sick of these guys keep letting us Philadelphia fans down
Mm-hmm.
when it matters the most. And I feel like every single year that goes by, 2022 losing the World Series, 2023 losing the NLCS, 2024 possibly losing in divisional round, getting the first round bye. We just keep on taking a step back every round, every year, and that concerns me big time because I just hope this doesn't mean we lose in the very first round next year because I'm just saying, I just hope this isn't us taking us from like '07 to 2011 taking steps back every year because that's my thing. I do not want to go back to the process days again where we had to break up the team, and I don't want it to come to the point where guys like Bryce Harper have to buy out of his contract because we're not winning here.
Yeah.
That's what I'm really concerned with. And we signed him all that money invested in him. You don't know if he'll decide as much as he likes Philadelphia. You don't know if he's going to decide to walk away. You don't know. You just don't know. You just never know because that guy wants a championship. And if we keep failing with this attitude, and these type of guys keep doing the same things every year, choking when it matters the most.
He's one of them. You
It's
got to think about it. He's fucking one of them, dude. He's
and
swinging that shit. He's not like, yes, he gets his one hit a game. But in these crucial moments like tonight, I get it. Bedlam at the bank, the home run on Sunday. Like, he's there. I get it. 1,000%. It's Bryce Harper. He's the fucking man. He's the showman, MV3, everything under the fucking sun. But it's almost like the same conversation that we have about Jalen Hurts year in and year out. It's the mentality of when he's miserable, you see the team not being able to produce. And that's what bothers me the most about him. And to me, he has not earned a contract extension. He might go down as one of the best Phillies out there ever, but if you're trying to win a fucking World Series championship trophy, there's so many other things that need to fucking happen before his contract extension goes in place.
I get that too. And I think what's frustrating too is so many and this is what they really are going to have to evaluate in this offseason. There's so many guys that want to just play hero ball on the team. Like, yeah, you have too many of them. And I don't even watch baseball all that often. And I really noticed that tonight. And you guys watch more than me. You might have noticed it more in the offseason. But I think that could be a real problem in a team sport in any sport, when you have too many guys trying to do too much rather than just focusing on, hey, sometimes it's like, just do your job. Like, just almost in golf. I had to do it yesterday when I was on the course, on the driver, right? Everybody gets up there. They want to smack the shit out of that ball. You want to light it up, be the big guy, right? But sometimes you just got to keep your eye on the ball, go back to fundamentals, swing regularly, and trust the process. And you're going to get your best swings of the day. So I think sometimes that's what the Phillies needed to do as a team, and they haven't really done it so far in the playoffs yet. I mean, game 2 was an exception, but when they've done it, it's been late. So they need to find a way to, okay, put all the pieces together, come together as a team and say, okay, how do we collectively, offensively perform? Because not everybody's going to be perfect every bat. But you guys are right. Like, the big dogs in so many moments when their numbers were called tonight, I mean, Marsh was the one that comes in mind at first. He came in, and I thought he was going to crank it. I thought Fratty's take was going to be right about Brandon Marsh. I was like, let's go. This is it. This is a moment. And he just didn't show up. And I think that's why you're going to see them really evaluate in this offseason. How many of these guys do we want? Because we have too many guys that want to play hero ball. That's what I think.
Dawn, if I may, I'm just going to jump in with my last take real quick. I'm going to hop off after that.
All good.
On a positive note, this is only the third game. They're only down 2-1. It's not the end of the world. And I know for anybody that listens to this show regularly, if I'm saying it's not the end of the world, it's not the end of the fucking world. You do have Ranger Suarez going out there. You haven't seen him at a playoff mentality this year. You've only seen him, throughout the regular season. It definitely has been rough. It's still the Phillies. It's still playoff baseball. You still have to go out there and root, because if you don't, what the fuck is the point of watching for the rest of the goddamn year, right? So go out there, cheer, root for this fucking team, go up to Citi Field, do whatever you need to do. Try to bring this shit back home to CBP on Friday. Bring it back home. Get Friday back to the stadium. I know me and Tommy are trying to get there. It's not over yet. It might seem like it. It's not over yet. Play the fucking Rocky theme. We're not done yet.
I love it. I ain't hear no bell. Thank you, Brendan, as always. We appreciate you, man, and appreciate the positivity.
Yeah, you got to do somewhat, you know?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Appreciate
Hopefully he's right.
Please, knock on wood, like Short says.
And like Brendan said, too, if he's keeping it positive, you're on the show all the time, Fratty. You know, if he's keeping it positive, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the whole team not playing a lot of small ball, Fratty? Do you wish that they would come collectively together?
Yeah, I'm very listen. Another guy I'm very disgusted with, and I don't understand. Johan Rojas. You were up square in first pitch ball, and then all of a sudden you just want to swing when you can actually put the ball in play, bunt it, and who knows if you get a base hit out of it. Instead, he tries to swing at the ball, and he just swings and misses. And I don't understand why after you were going for a bunt that you change up your approach. So, to be honest, I think multiple Phillies players need to put down bunts tomorrow. If you're watching this video, that's what you need to do tomorrow, because at this point you got to do anything to keep the season alive. And Johan Rojas, if you're in the line tomorrow, I would try to bunt one or two different at bats tomorrow to get on, because at this point you're gonna have to do anything to beat the Mets in Game 4. And that's in regards to small ball. That's all I have to say with that. But in regards to that whole the whole offense and lineup situation, Rob Thompson, if you're I don't think you're going to watch this live, but if you are, please just stick with a normal lineup tomorrow. You just might as well just put Marsh and Scott in there. Don't put Austin Hayes or Sosa in there. You got to go with something different. You just got to go with your usual starting lineup, like from without just put all your pieces together. Because remember, Dalton, the last two games we didn't have all of our hitters together. In the last two games, we didn't have boom. Everybody's going to have to play tomorrow. They don't have to throw. They can't throw in the town now. They have to put everybody. If they don't put everybody, if they bench one of their offensive players, that means the Phillies are throwing the talent in the season. They don't care.
And that sucks, man. That sucks that tomorrow could be the last game of the season. We were talking about it pre-show, me and Fratty, just saying it could be really rough because as Phillies fans, it would feel like such a robbery. It would feel like we didn't get closure if we didn't at least get one more game at home. Not saying I want to lose Game 5. I'll be just as pissed or upset if we lose. But if we lose in New York that way in Game 4, you're just going to feel like idiots. We're going to have to listen to Mutts fans all off season. So Fratty's right. Tomorrow really is a must win for our Philadelphia Phillies. And they're gonna hear it in the crowd. Those Mets fans are gonna get loud as hell because they don't want to have to send the Mets back to the Phillies home stadium. The Phillies are a very good team at home. And I think that if they have to go back for Game 5, if the Phillies can force a Game 5, I think that they'll sneak out of this series. But oh my God, this would have been a gritty series. I will say, if the Mets go past the Phillies, I do think that the Mets, and as much as I hate to say that, just being a realist, they would actually be my favorite to go to the World Series, the NL. I think whatever team makes it out of this series, this dogfight series, this big matchup, they're going to end up being the team that represents the NL in the World Series, in my opinion. I know Fratty's shaking his head backstage, and we'll get to him in 1 second here to let him explain why. But I do want to go back to one of the questions, too, that somebody had saying, look, I'm with the comments about the Phillies do need to play a little bit more small ball. But they're not a small ball team either. There needs to be a balance. They need to be a small ball team when it matters, and they need to take risks when it matters. That was the team in 2022 when they went to the World Series. They knew when to get on base, and they knew when to crank that thing, when to let that thing go and fly. And as a fan, that's what sells tickets. You got to understand that that if they played small ball all the time, they wouldn't be the Philadelphia Phillies that they are with Bryce Harper and the showstoppers. And Bryce Harper even said that this year in the offseason. He said, hey, what makes our team great? We understand. If you aren't that guy that night and you take a chance at it and it doesn't work out, we still got each other's back. Like Brendan said, they still got 2 more games. They're definitely the better baseball team. They've just been playing shitty baseball right now. So Phillies fans, keep your head high. Don't be too upset. Save the theatrics for another game. Because game 4, we're going to need everybody that we can get, fan-wise. And hopefully game 5.
Yeah, I'm pretty a little bit nervous for tomorrow. With Ranger on the hill, and if our offense needs to wake up tomorrow because it feeling like it fell asleep most of the game except for the 8th inning. It was falling asleep after a while, and it's definitely a must win for tomorrow. And wow. The fact I would have never thought of the possibility of being eliminated by the New York Mets ever in my lifetime. I must say this is like losing to the Cowboys. If we end up losing the series to the Mets, it'd be like even worse than losing to the Cowboys in a regular season or in that playoff game back when McNabb was a quarterback when the Cowboys beat us they beat us back-to-back games. We played. This is me and you were younger, Dalton, when this happened. But here's my another thing too, right? We forced a game 5. Philadelphia sports in game-deciding games in a second round or later is almost over. Over. I'm talking about game-deciding games that are the last game of a series. The Sixers in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference semifinals. You got the Phillies Game 7. You got the Eagles in the 2009 NFC Championship before they go to Super Bowl. You got Super Bowl 50. You got a Super Bowl a couple years ago. There's just so many heartbreakings and clinching moments. So even if we were to force a Game 5, do we want to deal with having heartbreak in Philadelphia? That's the question, Dalton.
That is a good question. And I'll say this, Fratty. Back to the closure point earlier. At least as fans, you, Ballpark, Brendan, whoever's there, I would love to go. I actually thought about if I could ever go to the game in Queens and get loud, Dutchie would bring a new energy. If I ever went with KJ Mack, my boy, we would go crazy. We would be menaces, especially with a game like this where it could be the last game of the season. We need to force it back home. One more trip, one more game, at least for closure, or one more game until we get out of the most. Look at it this way. Look at the glass half full. All right, Phillies fans, everybody, myself included. Ready? Keep your chin up. Pick your head up, right? Look at it this way. I said it earlier. Number 1, I'll take game 5 to answer your question, Friday, because at least the fans get to say goodbye to the team that way. For a short answer on that. At least everybody gets to see the Philadelphia Phillies at home one last time. If that's the way that God wants this series to end. But what if God wants this series to end a little bit different of a way, Fratty? What if he says, or the baseball gods, if you guys are going to get mad at me for getting religious, whatever. What if the baseball gods say, you know what? This is actually going to be the World Series champion that makes it out of this gritty matchup, this dogfight. And what if you told Philadelphia Phillies fans, hey, you got one series against the most gritty team in baseball, and if you can make it out of there, you're probably going to go to the World Series. But you're going to have to win 2 games in a row, one of them on the road, one of them at home. I'm not going to tell you what order, because I actually think it's harder going away and then home, momentum-wise. But you're going to have to win both of them. That's tough. That's really tough. But the Philadelphia Phillies also, I would say, there's not a better picture perfect team for a World Series year, a World Series season, a World Series story to be written than to beat the New York Mets with our backs against the wall when we shouldn't, and then carry that momentum throughout the playoffs. Nobody thought that the Eagles were going to beat the Falcons that game in that year, the Super Bowl season. I didn't. back when my grandmother was alive, rest in peace to her. But she said, Dalton, you're the biggest Eagles fan I know, and you're giving up faith. What are you doing, man? And I said, you know what? I think it's over. Carson Wentz was our guy. There's no way. There's no way Nick Foles does it. I gave up faith. And you know what happened? The Eagles ended up having faith. So I think if this Phillies team has faith, they'll be all right. My problem is, like I said earlier, and I actually agree with Brendan, it's the playoffs. I want to see more of a competitive edge from some of those guys. I want to see them not really smiling, picking daisies, for lack of a better term out there. Get your competitive edge, get your juices flowing, because tomorrow could be the last game of the season. And I'm talking about you better come out swinging in the first and second inning. You better be putting runs on the board, because if you don't, the game's going to get away from you.
Yeah, and I must say, if tomorrow's our last game against the Mets, be heartbreaking that another New York team beats us, and
Yeah.
And I know you're going up to New York and look for Eagles Giants October 20th, and I know how Hurts plays on that turf. I'm just getting tired of New York teams embarrassing us between the Knicks, between possibly the Mets, and I think last year even the Jets beat us last year. So New York, and then we think the Giant, and then the Giant, we split with the Giants last year in Philly, but New York seems to be our daddies lately. It's not something to be proud about. It's a very ugly sight that a team, a New York franchise, New York sports town is somehow owning Philadelphia, that have joke franchises like the Knicks, like the Giants. In the last maybe over a decade, the Giants haven't done anything since Eli Manning, but and Mets, who haven't won a World Series since 1986 when the ball went under Bill Buckner. And I'll tell you one thing. As a Phillies fan, the worst thing that can happen is the Mets versus Yankees World Series. Because if a Mets versus Yankees World Series happens, I hope they cancel the season. So I don't want anybody to win the World Series. They should just cancel it and there'll be no winner. So
I love that, Friday. That's funny, bro.
but honestly, I'm hoping from the NL side, if we don't make it, I hope San Diego or LA makes it. And then if they, worst case, if the Yankees do somehow make it to the World Series, I hope one of those teams beat the Yankees, even though they're in the same conference as us. So
I would hope that you're right.
yeah,
Because you see what I got in the back over my shoulder? I got the Pete Rose jersey.
yeah.
And with the way that this season has gone, with the expectations, Pete Rose passing away, I really would love to see these guys tribute him in a sort of way too. That's why that jersey's up there, to tribute him, everything that he brought to the Philadelphia Phillies, the city, the World Series that he was very much responsible for. Obviously, it takes a whole team in baseball, but he was the guy. You know, he was that dude that go put the team on his back. And that's what somebody's got to do tomorrow, guys. Somebody for the Phillies has got to be that guy, because like Freddie alluded to, you're letting a joke franchise, a joke city as far as food goes. I mean, have you guys ever seen a New York fucking cheesesteak? The thing, shout out to my boy KJ McCoy. If you guys go on our YouTube, I don't know if you've ever seen our vlogs, Friday. They're very funny, but go check them out on YouTube. In one of our vlogs, for anybody who hasn't seen it, KJ checks out what a New York cheesesteak looks like. And we'll just say it's a roast beef with cheese. That's the simplest way I can put it. It's not a cheesesteak. But you can't let these bums get the best of you. You can't fall flat on your face. Put up a competition. At least take it to game 5 if you're going to go out to the most gritty team in baseball. You should beat them. You should win. I appreciate you for joining, Jordan. We really do. But you should beat this team. You should beat up on them. You should have their number. And you should be able to carry that momentum then into the next series and then hopefully into the World Series. Because the Phillies are one of the best teams in baseball. You can't blame ownership. They've spent the money. At this time, it just comes down to the players. It comes down to execution. There's only so much Topper can do. Like, I don't know that I feel most confident in Topper. A lot of people are saying Topper on the hot seat too. But there's also something to be said for when your best players, and the daycare, all 3 of them, don't show up. They got to show up. somebody's got to step up. Somebody's got to make a name for themselves, and somebody's got to be that guy tomorrow when they go to New York, because man, oh man, it's going to be tough. I mean, let me know how you guys are feeling in the comments. And this is a good little checkpoint for, if you guys haven't, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, heart the video if you're watching on Facebook, share it in some Facebook groups if you can. All those little things really help. But man, oh man, somebody's got to show up tomorrow.
Yeah. Let me tell you one other thing too, and I'm kind of getting sick of this, man. Uh, I must say one thing here. I know ladies out there think Garrett Stubbs is cute, but I want this man far away from the team as possible after this season. I'd rather have Rafael Marchand as the backup catcher next year, just because Garrett Stubbs with this dancing. This will be the last season you hear me doing dancing on the own stuff, because it is a curse to Philadelphia, and I think Garrett Stubbs will not be on the Phillies anymore after this season. He needs to go. Uh, he's worthless. He's worthless anymore. Rafael Marchand's a better catcher. At least maybe you can plug if it came down to it. Here's my thing: you teach Rafael Marchand next year to play another position, because uh, Garrett Stubbs isn't gonna. Garrett Stubbs is only a catcher, and I think Rafael can possibly learn how to play first base. And if he can hit better than Garrett Stubbs consistently, that might be a good problem to talk about next year. If he can be our backup catcher, I'd rather him than Garrett Stubbs. So Garrett Stubbs needs to get off the Phillies after the season. I don't think he's gonna last, just because even though he hasn't even played lately in the post, hasn't played at all in the postseason. I don't think. I'm sorry, ladies. Garrett Stubbs needs to go after the season. Garrett Stubbs with his overalls and his
Dance
dancing
moves in the car.
I'm sorry to tell you this, but I have a funny feeling with the shakeups you're about to see, with the departure to daycare, possibly if knock on wood, like Short said, if knock on wood, we miraculously come back in the series down 2-1. I see like you said, the daycare is going to split up, and I could see Garrett Stubbs not being on the team. So that means JT will be the starter, and possibly Rafael Marchand will be the backup catcher next season. So, that's what I think is going to happen by next year if we don't come back in the series. So, because I don't think we're gonna, like I said, I think Dalton. I don't think Garrett Stubbs, like I've been saying multiple times in the last minute or two, I don't think he's going to be there. I just have this funny feeling that they've had enough of Garrett Stubbs, and if we don't win with this, if you don't win with the same guys, some of the same guys in the clubhouse after a couple of years, then the one guy who's a backup will end up going. That's how things are in Philadelphia. So
It's
yeah,
frustrating, man, too, because I like Stubbs as a person. I like Marsh as a person. I like Bohm as a person. I'm sure you do too. We all do as fans. But when a guy doesn't perform in the postseason, Fratty's right. It's not about feelings. It's a business. And it's just a business decision for the team to just say, hey, it's been real. It's been great with you guys, but we got to go our separate ways. I don't want to see the daycare broken up at all. I really like the daycare a lot. I love each one of them. It's going to suck for Bohm and Marsh, especially because they're roommates. So there's that psychological aspect of your buddy, too, when he gets traded. So the Phillies are going to have to be conscientious of that. But if unless I'm wrong, knock on wood, and the Phillies miraculously come back, and these two guys, which I hope that they do, please, I'm calling your number. I am calling your guy's number now, because there were so many times that your guy's number were called, other guys' number were called tonight, and they didn't show up. They didn't show up. And that's why you lost this game 7-2 in New York. But if their number is called, when their number is called in this game, because somebody said it too, they're going to play. You're going to play Marsh. You're going to play Bohm in this last game. These guys have got to be, you're going to have everybody out there that should be. They need to show up when that number is called. They need to be able to put the team on their back and say, hey, this is my job. Team needs me right now, and I got it. And if they don't, it's going to be a really different team next year, a really different feel, chemistry-wise, locker room-wise, and even fandom-wise. I don't blame ownership, though. I really don't. A lot of times I will take it out on ownership if ownership is responsible in any sport. Ownership, I don't blame at all here because they spent the money. At this point, it's just execution. You can't know when you're signing a guy or not, whether or not he's going to perform in the Mets series in the post. You know what I mean? Like that far ahead. You can't predict that, but
Here's my thing though. If our team does have a shakeup, um, I don't know if one of the Braves, if any of the Brave stars or have free agents, but I would if that I don't know if you should look that up to all of them, but if that's the case, you eye and go after one of those sluggers that can hit very good. Like Ozuna. I don't know if I'm not sure if Olson or Alzuna's a free agent. You go after they might have no choice but to go after one of those guys next year. Um
yeah.
they might have no choice but to go after one of the Braves star hitters. If they're I got to check up on that. Either whether it be a Braves hitter, a Dodgers hitter, Padres hitter who's a free agent, you have no choice but to go after one of those superstar to pretty good hitters on one of those 3 to 4 teams next year, or somebody on the AL side from whether it be the Guardians, whether it be a young player from the Tigers, whether it be somebody out there, somebody who's like almost like a Marcelo Osuna who can hit homers, like almost like a Schwarber, because I think Schwarber's staying next year, and you need that. You need another home run hitter that can hit 30, 35 home runs a year, like Kyle Schwarber, and um, like Bryce Harper, which I think Bryce Harper, uh, it's going to if we don't come back in the series next year is going to be a big make or break season for Bryce Harper, possibly with the Philadelphia Phillies, and you don't know you don't know if there'll be a breakup. I mean, but although that is Bryce's call if he wants to stay there the whole 13 years, which it is because he's making so much money, and it'd be a waste of contract. Uh, at the end of the day, uh, I am really invested to see what this future of the Philadelphia Phillies franchise is going to look at, like no matter what happens the rest of the series and beyond. Uh, but we need we need a major shakeup if we end up losing tomorrow. We need 'cause like I said, needs to go. Marsh might have to go. Alec Boehm is a free agent. He might end up going. And we're gonna have some replacements next year. But I think the only couple guys, superstar wise, that are safe is Harper, Turner, Schwarber, and Castellanos is kind of, I would say, in the middle.
If they
Just
end up losing this series, he's definitely safe, I would say, because he was the guy who really won the game too. If they end up going out and losing tomorrow, especially, yeah, Castellanos, I think, is pretty safe
and
going into the offseason
and I
because
think
he showed up. He does chase a lot, but he showed up in that moment. And it's going to be about moments when you sign guys, I think.
I think because Bryson Scott is still young, kind of young, I think I think Bryson Scott will stay here at least another season, and but yeah, I think the whole daycare is the one or two daycare players will not be on the team anymore. So you're finding a couple of replacements already in your lineup, and like I said, Marshawn will probably be on the roster the whole year, for a full season next year. We're just going to need a third catcher. Uh, in that Garcia guy, or although we DFA'd him, I think, but uh, we need to figure things out with this future of this franchise because there is no reason that we should be sitting here talking about having 2 World Series championships in 141 years with one of the top 5 highest payrolls in baseball. Uh, it's like talking about when the Dallas Cowboys have 5 rings and haven't won a championship in nearly 30 years. We're sitting here talking about the Phillies having only 2 championships in 141 years, and only
Ugh.
two 19, and we're going to be sitting here possibly for another season talking about 2008 like it was yesterday when it was really literally closing in on 20 years ago, 16 years now. uh Quite honest, I love 2008 was great and everything, but don't you think after a while it's us talking about 2008 as the years go by is more like talking about the Cowboys having winning a ring in almost 30 years. Don't you think that, Dalton?
I do think that, James. That's a good analogy because we look pathetic. You're right. 141 years, and the Phillies have probably, most definitely, I would say, lost, if not tied it. How many times they've lost in the World Series that they've been there, that they've won it. They're probably, even if not definitely, I would say more losses. They're just unlucky and can't seem to find a way to get it done. And Fratty's right. I don't want to go into another postseason talking about what could have been last year and what could be this year. And if they don't do it this year, like this year is it. This year's it for me. I'm sitting in a green room. You guys see that, but I wear this blue or red sometimes or whatever color hat on my head, and I'm wearing a Phillies jersey. I'm wearing a Phillies shirt. No, I'm not saying I won't be a Phillies fan. I just won't commit emotionally as much. We are all very emotionally invested in the Phillies. I'm not saying I'm going to lose as much pride in being a Phillies fan. I'm not saying I'm going to lose as much passion in being a Phillies fan, but I am going to wait to emotionally invest myself into that team, into believing that that team can win a World Series until they prove it in the postseason. That's the difference in the past couple of years. You watch them throughout the regular season, you're like, they're consistently a good baseball team. They should be able to carry throughout the playoffs. And it feels like when this team has expectations, that is when they do the worst. But maybe Phillies fans, with that being said, maybe that's a good thing here. Back against the wall. Nobody freaking believes in you now. I mean, you're going to have to go to New York and prove it. And then even if you do, it's very tough to come back and win it in Philadelphia. I think it's possible, but it's tough. Philadelphia Phillies love to have no expectations. They do. Let's see what they can do, Fratty. Let's see what they're made of. I mean, if they make it out of this series, they're going to prove that they're a very good baseball team. But they got to get out of it. They got to get out of this deep hole.
Yep, and I am wearing my Red October hoodie tomorrow. When I was at CBP all time in the postseason, dating back to last year, the Phillies are undefeated when I wear the Red October hoodie at CBP in the postseason at home. I'm talking about, and I've wore it a few other times and they've won too. So I'm wearing my Red October hoodie for Game 4 tomorrow. So,
is it good luck?
Yeah. They were undefeated last. They've been undefeated dating back to last year when I wore it. Game 1, I didn't wear it. They lost. Game 2, I wore it. They won. Game 3, didn't wear it. Lost. That means Game 4, I'm coming out and I'm wearing the Red October hoodie tomorrow. Even though I'm in my own warm house, I might
You got to keep it on. If you got to watch
Yeah.
the game outside because it's so damn hot, set up the TV outside Friday. We need all the good luck we can get, brother.
I might have to go somewhere tomorrow and watch the game. I mean, this is
And do a freezer or something in the hoodie. To a walk-in freezer. Set up a TV in there.
This is gonna.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man, what's the name? We wake up tomorrow morning, and I think tomorrow morning, I think people are going to go to church tomorrow morning. Go inside in church tomorrow and really pray for the Phillies because they really need it right now. Who knows? Maybe the church in the corner. Maybe if I can somehow get in that church, if I could somehow get in the church tomorrow morning, which I don't think it's going to be open on the corner. I have a church a couple doors away. I don't think it's going to be open, but if it is, maybe I'll just sneak in there and just go inside the church thing and pray. I don't know. Maybe I'll try to do that tomorrow. I don't know. Maybe. So
Hey, whatever works, man. I mean, I was with a sister yesterday. Shout out to the sisters from my middle school, and I was talking to them. Some of them are awesome. Some of the biggest Phillies fans you'll ever meet. And Ravens fans, too. There's some Ravens and Orioles fans, too, because where my school is situated, it's actually in Maryland, right outside of Delaware. But speaking of, the Phillies need all the luck, all the prayers, all the hope that they can get. Backs against the wall. This is probably the worst spot that they could have been in. It almost would have been better to get swept if they lose tomorrow because not only does it give us fans ultimate hope, but it's just, this is tough. This is like you're being pinned in the WWE and they're on that second, and you're in all last hope trying to kick out, get out of it. And then you got to not only kick out, but then you got to somehow figure out a way to pin your opponent. Can they do it? I think that they can do it. They're the Philadelphia Phillies. There's not a team in baseball, I think, that can do it more than them. But the real question, guys, is I think they can do it. I know you guys think that they can do it. I know Fratty thinks that they can do it. In fact, we all know it. But do our Philadelphia Phillies know it, understand it, and get it? We'll see. We'll see. That's all we got tonight on the Phillies postgame show. Friday, do you have any final remarks before we get out of here?
Well, hopefully tomorrow is not the end of the year. Hopefully it's a better game, but I'll be probably tune in and watch this some of this Dodgers and Padres game, which is coming up in a couple of minutes, and I just every single year. This is 3 years and third year in a row in the postseason, and we might choke again and again and again. Well, tomorrow hope is a new day, and once tomorrow morning rolls around, I think after tonight we'll get over a loss, and just hope these bats wake up tomorrow, because they're gonna need to wake up with Ranger Suarez on the mound. A man who has been iffy as of late. And I'll tell you one thing. Ranger needs to be danger. Ranger, if you're not watching this live, if you watch this live, can you go back, please, to be your old Danger Ranger self before the injury and before you did something with that girl? Can you please go back to your old self again? Cy Young Ranger, go 7 shutout innings tomorrow. Knock on wood. Strike out 5 to 7 guys, or even a couple guys, don't matter. Just pitch 7 shutout innings. And Nick Castellanos, Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto, the daycare, everybody else who's playing tomorrow. Can you please send moonshots into the Big Apple skyline, please, tomorrow? That would be great. And could you send all the Santa Clauses out there, send us Phillies fans an early Christmas miracle to come back against the Mets, please. We make the list, we check it twice, but the Phillies came out and they were naughty, but not nice. So that's pretty much how I end it.
And I want to just say this real quick, too, before we wrap up. My favorite Mets fan right here. This is the truth. JJ, you do have my respect in that aspect. You are my favorite Mets fan, bud. It's going to be something else. JJ knows not to get his hopes up. JJ can be cocky. He knows when to be cocky. And if JJ's being humble, that tells you Phillies fans and you Mets fans, it's going to be a close game tomorrow. It's going to be a good one. I think that the Phillies are going to come out with it, but I think that it's going to be tough. Game 5, I don't even know how I feel about. I don't even know, because the Mets are the hottest team in baseball and the Phillies are the best team in baseball. That's why I said whoever comes out of this series, I think is going to represent the NL in the World Series. I won't even say win yet, because knock on wood if the Phillies somehow make it out. But their backs are against the wall. No expectations. That might be a good thing. That might be a good thing in this city. It might not. It might be the last show of the season tomorrow, which is crazy to think about. And speaking of that, I do want to take this opportunity to thank you, Friday. I want to thank Shardy, of course. And I want to thank Brendan and everybody else who has hopped on the postgame show, Ballpark Tommy, and Gavin and a bunch of other people who I'm not naming, and I apologize about that. That's just off the top of the dome. Everybody who's helped out with the post-game show, because this Phillies post-game show has been a real success this season. Going off season, had the idea and didn't really know what I was doing with it yet. And Shardy really just took the bull by the horns and threw that motherfucker against the wall. He did a great job with it. And now it's allowed us to do the Eagles post-game show. So stay tuned for that and other things, because there's always another sport, guys. Stay tuned for that. It's a beautiful part of being a Philly fan. They give you false hope, like that meme with the astronaut. Has it always been this way? Oh, it's always been suffering. So I will say, I'm not going to have false hope. I'm going to wake up tomorrow. I'm going to have my morning coffee. I'm going to be calm. I might go to McDonald's and get another bacon, egg, and cheese on a biscuit to calm the nerves. You guys, all our listeners out there, do the same. Do something that eases your mind. Maybe go to Wawa, get yourself some breakfast if that helps. But do something. Do something that makes you happy. Because everybody at home, everybody representing in New York, you better be ready to bring it. Bring it tomorrow. Because like JJ said, it is going to be an insane, insane matchup. Thank you for showing love, JJ. We appreciate you. But it's going to be a gritty matchup. It's going to be good baseball. Hopefully it's not the end. Because I'll tell you what, these fellas will bring you guys the best damn World Series coverage you've seen. So if any Phillies player, excuse me, got the Pepsi coming back up. Worst timing. But if any Phillies player is watching, listening, viewing, whatever, absorbing, I don't know if there's any aliens out there. Point being, come out tomorrow swinging. Come out with heart. Give us fans something to cheer about. Because if you somehow find a way to win tomorrow, we're going to get louder, I think, than ever. That may be the loudest that Citizens Bank Park has ever been, Fratty. Seriously. If you work on Friday, you might want to bring earplugs. I'm dead ass. Think about it. Game 5 of a series that everybody told you you can't do it. You're an underdog. You don't got it. You can't do it. You're the Philadelphia Phillies. There's no way you guys win this series. You guys can't do it. You're an underdog. You guys suck. No shot. If the game goes to game 5 in Philadelphia, Citizens Bank Park is going to be an all-time peak at its loudest it's ever been. Game 5 in a series where you had your back against the wall against the New York Mets. Come on. Come on. Not a more important game. It's going to get crazy. It's going to get loud. Get ready for it, fans. Thank you for everybody who tuned in tonight. I appreciate you guys. And we will be here tomorrow night to cover whatever happens for our Philadelphia Phillies. Love you guys. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all those good things. You guys know it. And have a great night. All take care, guys.
The Vikings!
Swing and a drive.